if you are single, you probably have had people around you stressing you out about the fact that you're single. They could be telling you things like, don't waste this time. But what does that even mean? How does that look like? And maybe in this year, 2024, you're trying to figure out, how can I actually prepare for marriage? And during your single time, you'll realize that your heart can be going through a lot of things that we cannot ignore. You can be going through wounds from a past breakup or childhood trauma, or even just seeing certain patterns and habits in your life that you keep going back to and you can't figure out how to break it. So this is what we want to focus on today, because there's a lot here for us to learn.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotional healing that can be done during the season of singleness. And that's what it means to be whole and take a good use of the single season, to get before the Lord, to get healed. And how do we stinking do it? Well, hello there, my darling.
Hello.
So, babes. I have a question for you before...
I'm on the hot seat.
Yeah, you're in a hot seat. You're in a hot seat, definitely. So the question is, what is something that you brought into marriage that you didn't deal with before?
I would say the thing that's been most obvious while we're in marriage has been not figuring out the triggers that I have that make me overwhelmed and super stressed, because I realize, I don't know if it's like a perfectionist thing, that I'm just always performing to be perfect in certain areas, that it actually ends up taking away from our marriage, because I'm missing the beautiful moments that we're having. I'm not able to loosen up and have fun, and the day-to-day tasks tend to overwhelm me and overstress me, and it's not just something that's normal. There's something deeper there that I need to work through with the Lord. So I wish I had done that before, because I think we would have had a lot more fun in our early parts of the marriage where things were super stressful. I think it took away from the beauty of marriage.
Yeah. And what would you say, now that we're talking about it, what would you say, what do you think that is most common that women like struggle and then they bring it into marriage?
I would say we see it in the garden. Nothing has changed. As women, we have to be really mindful of not being controlling in our marriages. We see it with Eve. She took control that the man was supposed to have the control and the leadership role. So for us, it's understanding, okay, what areas of my life and what things are making it hard for me to eventually be a biblically submissive wife to my husband? What are the areas that I tend to be overly critical, and really getting to the contents of our heart with the Lord, so that when we're in marriage, we don't become controlling and overly critical. That would be my biggest advice to any single lady.
That's so good. Hey, thanks, babes.
Yay!
Yeah. This is a hot seat, babes.
It is. So, babes, the same question to you. What is one thing that you wished you worked on during your single time, and that you basically wish you didn't bring into marriage?
Yeah. I think I would say I wish I worked on just being more bold and being more courageous and stepping out more. You know, stepping out in certain situations that I had opportunity to step out during my lifetime before you, standing up to myself, speaking out when I needed to speak out. Because I see, as we're married, I see all of these insecurities and like worrying and I don't know, stressing about something, fear, like I transfer them all into our marriage, like they're still here. And I wish I dealt with them a little bit more. More of stepping out and just working more of me becoming this courageous man. I mean, some things you realize as you enter into marriage, but I knew some of these things and I kind of pushed them aside because I didn't know how to deal with them. Yeah.
Any tips for the single men out there for something specific they could be working on before marriage?
I love how you said it. And you got us back to the garden, and you said that when fall happened, there was this There's this issue of control that women now want to have. But what happened to men is Adam was there with Eve the whole time and did nothing. So being passivity is one of the root sins and issues of men today in marriage, in relationships, in work, because we were created to do, to move, to create, to conquer. We're created for this adventure, for a battle that we need to fight. So yeah, I would say that's just try to get out of this passivity. Passivity, is that the right word? And or on the other hand, if you are more of a controlling and dominant type, try to stop a bit and see, why am I doing? What are the insecurities that I need to do that I want to become dominant? That's in general for men. I also think two big things are anger and rage. A lot of men are just so frustrated and unhappy, and there's so much this rage and anger that's sometimes bubbling inside of us that actually God put in us so that we can make a change in the world, and that we have this holy discontent that will drive us actually to change things. But sometimes if it's not directed properly and healthy, we're gonna direct it towards our wives. And the other thing I would say is just porn addiction and masturbation and stuff. A lot of guys out there are fighting with that. And when you enter marriage, you it doesn't go away. I know a lot of guys, it doesn't go away. It's still there. So dealing with it before, so that you don't literally cheat on your wife as you masturbate or watch porn, so you don't hurt her, so that you can have this for fulfillment with her, and with intimacy physical and emotional and spiritual, completely. So yeah, deal with it before. That's what I would say.
Okay, now that we talked about our own personal experiences with things that we wish that we had dealt with, and gave you some examples of things you can be working on, now we want to get to practical tips. How do you actually deal with this stuff in your single time? And one of the things that we really wanted to stress is that you need to get help. It's okay to get help. Yeah. And don't try to do this on your own. A lot of these issues were bigger things like the porn or the anger. So I would definitely recommend checking your church first to see if they have any resources for emotional healing. And that could be, again, sessions that they do, or even if they offer Christian counseling. I would definitely put the asterisks on Christian counseling, because we want to make sure that we are doing this with the Lord. We're not separating the Lord from this and doing any new age ungodly practices. So see if there's any Christian counseling, but particularly I would highlight any emotional healing, whether that be something like a sozo, like the sozo model. For us, we've talked about Connect Up and then Unbound. So check your church, but again, if they don't have any of those things, you can check out the Connect Up website, the Unbound website, and I'm pretty sure Sozo, they might do online stuff too. My church had done Sozo, so I'm not sure. But either way, we'll put links for all of that below. But I would just say, do this with such tenacity and understand the severity of this. Yeah. This is the perfect time in your singleness to go after healing with everything that you have. Not just for your future spouse or your future children, but for you, and everything that's going to be born out of your life starts and ends with the status of our heart. Yeah. So just chase after it.
True.
And just, it's important. Don't neglect this.
And I think it's not only for single peeps. I think all of the people should be pursuing this freedom and emotional freedom and growth. That's what we want as Christians, is to keep on growing and looking more like Jesus every day. That being said, we do have 2 books that we would love to recommend to all of you that changed our lives. Number one is Unbound by Neil Lozano. We're gonna put it in the link downstairs. It's an amazing book that's gonna not only help you and give you the steps how to see what's here and get rid of it and invite Jesus into it, but it's also gonna lead you to the Father. It's gonna give you so much examples that you're gonna recognize, oh, I do this. Oh, this is the pattern that I do. Oh, this is the lie that I'm struggling. It's like someone is helping you to see inside of you. Look at it. Look at that book like that. And the other book is Emotionally Healthy Spirituality by a dude named Peter something. I don't want to try to pronounce his last name. Amazing book about the emotions and the spiritual and what's happening with our emotions as we go through life with Jesus. Yeah.
So good. And lastly, we talk a lot about journaling with the Lord and really taking time every single day to bring our heart condition to God. So we totally recommend using some time to journal with the Lord on specific issues that, again, are things you don't want to bring into marriage. So earlier, if there was anything that we talked about that stirred your spirit, journal about those things. That's definitely a good indication to start with. But if you're searching for other things, I wrote down 3 really basic yet foundational questions to journal with the Lord. Number 1, ask him, Lord, is there anything that needs to be pruned in me before marriage? And as Mate said, these are questions that all of us literally should ask. It doesn't have to be before marriage, but we're targeting you single peeps because we know there's a lot of you here. So
we see you.
Yeah,
we love you. Sorry.
So is there anything that needs to be pruned in me before marriage? Number 2, Lord, are there any lies that would hinder a healthy marriage? And that's, I'll just let that camp out there for a little bit. And number 3, Lord, is there anything that I need to know about my identity before marriage? Yeah. So as you're asking these questions, if you haven't watched our journal video, we'll put a card somewhere. But you're asking the Lord these questions and you're waiting for the Holy Spirit to speak to you, to show you a picture, to give you a sense in your heart, give you flowing words. And these are the things that you're going to journal back with the Lord. You're going to hear what he's saying. You're going to ask further questions. And again, we'll link all the videos that we've already done about this topic. But basically we want to make sure that we are bringing our heart condition to God and learning the truth from him before entering into a lifelong covenant.
So good, babes. Yeah, that's it. Our dear friends, that's all the wisdom that we have for this one. Yeah, go.
Yeah, so we just wanted to encourage you. If you are, again, single in this 2024 season, we know how it is to be entering in a new year and being like, what the heck, I'm still single. But we really, truly mean it that this time will be a beautiful time if you use it to grow closer to God and to understand yourself more. So instead of feeling down and being like, oh, I can't believe I'm single for another year, instead be like, this is the year that I'm going to take control of my emotional health and understand who God is and who I am in him. And that will set you up for the rest of your life, not just in marriage. Yeah.
Single or not.
Exactly.
Do it.
Do it. All right, guys. We love you. Bye.
Bye.